Paruche Gulam. Loud enough. Niche summarize. Huh? محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا بين يدي حاجة يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع يا وسيع الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله حاجات يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وودتي يوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله صلى الله عليهم أجمعين ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين آمين رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وآل माइक ने શું થઈ ગયું ખબર છે ના હમણાં ત્યાં ઓલું એમ્પ્લીફાયર ઓફ થઈ ગયું છે ઘણીવાર થાય નીચે કિચનમાં છે આ બીજ આવી ગયું છે I've just lost the world just lost the it might come on again I think it's already streaming محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير وهذا شهر نظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور وهو الشهر الذي فرضت صيامه علي وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك من علي بفكاك ركبة من النار في من تمن عليه وأدخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل محمد وآل محمد You want to do iftitah? Bismillah, please do.
بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم رب الشهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وافترضت على عبادك فيه الصيام سل على محمد وآل محمد وارزقني هج بيتك الحرام في هذا العام وفي كل عام واغفر لي الذنوب العظام فإنه لا يغفرها غيرك يا رحمن يا علام بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إني أفتتح الثناء بحمدك وأنت مسدد للثواب بمنك وأيقنت أنك أنت أرحم الراحمين في موضع العفو والرحمة وأشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة وعظم المتجبرين في موضع الكبرياء والعظمة اللهم أذنت لي في دعائك ومسألتك، فاسمع يا سميع مدحتي، وأجب يا رحيم دعوتي، وأقل يا غفور أثرتي. فكم يا إلهي من كربة قد فرجتها، وهموم قد كشفتها، وعثرة قد عقلتها، ورحمة قد نشرتها، وحلقة بلاء قد فككتها. الحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا، ولم يكن له شريك في الملك، ولم يكن له ولي من الذل، وكبره تكبيرا. الحمد لله بجميع مهامده كلها، على جميع نعمه كلها. الحمد لله الذي لا مضاد له في ملكه، ولا منازع له في أمره. الحمد لله الذي لا شريك له في خلقه، ولا شبيه له في عظمته. الحمد لله الفاشي في الخلق أمره، وحمده الظاهر بالكرم مجده، الباسط بالجود يده، الذي لا تنقص خزائنه، ولا تزيده كثرة العطاء إلا جودا وكرما. إنه هو العزيز الوهاب. اللهم إني أسألك قليلا من كثير، مع حاجة بي إليه عظيم، وغناك عنه قديم، وهو عندي كثير، وهو عليك سهل يسير. اللهم إن عفوك عن ذنبي، وتجاوزك عن خطيئتي، وسفحك عن ظلمي، وسترك على قبيح عملي، وحلمك عن كثير جرمي، عندما كان من خطاعي وعمدي. أجمعني في أن أسألك ما لا أستوجبه منك، الذي رزقتني من رحمتك، وأريتني من قدرتك، وعرفتني من عجابتك، فسرت أدعوك آمنا، وأسألك مستعنسا، لا خائفا ولا وجلا، مدلا عليك فيما قصدت فيه إليك. فإن عبت عني عتبت بجحلي عليك، ولعل الذي عبت عني هو خير لي، لعلمك بعاقبة الأمور. فلم أر مولا كريما أصبر على عبد لعيم منك علي يا رب. إنك تدعوني فأولي عنك، وتتحبب إلي فأتبغض عليك، وتتودد علي فلا أقبل منك، أن لي يتطول عليك. فلم يمنعك ذلك من الرحمة لي والإحسان علي، والتفضل علي بجودك وكرمك. فارحم عبدك الجاهل، وجد عليه بفضل إحسانك، إنك جواد كريم. الحمد لله مالك الملك، مجري الفلك، مسخر الرياح، فالق الإصباح، ديان الدين، رب العالمين. الحمد لله على حلمه بعد علمه، والحمد لله على عفوه بعد قدرته، والحمد لله على طول عناته في غضبه، وهو قادر على ما يريد. الحمد لله خالق الخلق، باسط الرزق، فالق الإصباح، ذي الجلال والإكرام والفضل والإنعام، الذي بعد فلا يرى، وقرب فشهد النجوى، تبارك وتعالى. الحمد لله الذي ليس له منازع يعادله، ولا شبيه يشاكله، ولا ظهير يعاضده. قهر بعزته الأعزاء، وتوازع لعظمته العظماء، فبلغ من قدرته ما يشاء. الحمد لله الذي يجيبني حين عنادي ويستر علي كل عورة وعنا عأسي ويعظم النعمة علي فلا أجازي. فكم من موهبة حنيعة قد أتاني وعزيمة مخوفة قد كفاني وبهجة مونقة قد أراني. فأثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا. الحمد لله الذي لا يحتك حجابه ولا يغلق بابه ولا يرد الصاعل ولا يخيب آمل. الحمد لله الذي يؤمن الخائفين وينجي الصالحين ويرفع المستضعفين ويضع المستكبرين ويهلك ملوكا ويستخلف آخرين. والحمد لله قاسم الجبارين مبير الظالمين مدرك الهاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في غمراتها. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله الذي يخلق ولم يخلق ويرزق ولا يرزق ويطعم ولا يطعم ويميت الأحياء ويحيي الموتى وهو حي لا يموت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم سل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وعمينك وسفيك وحبيبك وخيرتك من خلقك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك أفضل وأحسن وأجمل وأكمل وأزكى وعنما وأطيب وأطهر وأسنى وأكثر ما سليت وباركت وترحمت وتحننت وسلمت على أحد من عبادك وأنبيائك ورسلك وصفوتك وأهل الكرامة عليك من خلقك. اللهم وسل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووسي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وحجتك على خلقك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم. وسل على صديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة النساء العالمين. وسل على سبتي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة. وسل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الحادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وعمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وسل على ولي أمرك القائم المعمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعله الداعي إلى كتابك والقائم بدينك استخلفه في الأرض كما استخلفت الذين من قبله. مكن له دينه الذي ارتديته له أبدله من بعد خوفه أمنا يعبدك لا يشركه بك شيئا. اللهم أعزه وأعزز به، وانصره وانتصر به، وانصره نصرا عزيزا، وافتح لهم فتحا يسيرا، واجعل له من لدنك سلطانا نسيرا. اللهم أظهر به دينك وسنة نبيك، حتى لا يستخفي بشيء من الحق مخافة أحد من الخلق. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأحلى، وتذل بها النفاق وأحلى، وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقائم قادة إلى سبيلك، وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق به فحملناه، وما قصرنا عنه فبلغناه. اللهم المم به شعثنا، واشعب به سدعنا، وارتق به فتقنا، وكثر به قلتنا، وأعزز به ذلتنا، وأغن به عائلنا، واقض به عن مغرمنا، واجبر به فقرنا، وسد به خلتنا، ويسر به عسرنا، وبيض به وجوهنا، وفك به عصرنا، وأنجح به طلبتنا، وانجز به مواعيدنا، واستجب به دعوتنا، واعتنا به سؤلنا، وبلغنا به من الدنيا والآخرة عامالنا، وأتنا به فوق رغبتنا، يا خير المسؤولين وأوسع المعتين. اشف به صدورنا، وأذهب به غيظ قلوبنا، واهدنا به لما اختلف فيه من الحق بإذنك، إنك تهدي من تشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. وانصرنا به على عدوك وعدونا، إله الحق آمين. اللهم إنا نشكو إليك فقد نبينا صلواتك عليه وعاله، وغيبة ولينا، وكثرة عدونا، وقلة عددنا، وشدة الفتن بنا، وتظاهر الزمان علينا. فسل على محمد وعاله، وإنا على ذلك بفتح منك تعجله، وبزر تكشفه، ونصر تعزه، وسلطان حق تظهره، ورحمة منك تجللناها، وآفية منك تلبسناها، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. صلوات محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. فاتح. محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين أما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في قرآنه الكريم وهو أصدق القائلين قوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. There's not long left now until the day of Eid, and I'm sure everyone's looking forward to it very much. There's not long left now until we're out of this series of Ramadan. And see, as much as there will be a certain relief when Eid rolls around, Ramadan, it can get fatiguing, it can get difficult, it's not meant to be easy. We should also recognize the blessings that come with it. We've been looking over these few days at how to improve our ibadat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in this verse of the Holy Quran that I just recited, He says that He created the jinns and the humans for no reason other than what? To worship Him. إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Now, when it comes to the ibadah, when it comes to that worship, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to worship Him, what that worship looks like, when we do it, how we do it, where we do it, it varies massively. There's loads of different ways in which we worship, and we've been looking at some of the key ways we worship and going through those, how to improve those, how to get as much out of those as we can. So in that same vein, we follow on, and one opportunity that we have in this holy month of Ramadan, one worship which is specific, not just to the month of Ramadan, but is amplified in this month, is the worship of Azadari. The worship of the remembrance of the tragedies of our holy personalities. And I want to address that a little bit today. Look a little bit about how we can improve that. Look a little bit at what we can take from that and how we can get the most out of it. Azadari, the remembrance of the tragedies of those who we revere, of our holy personalities, it's something that for many of us holds a very, very strong place in our hearts. It's a very important part of who we are, a very strong part of our identity. But the truth is, oftentimes, we fail to do with Azadari what throughout this Ramadan we've been speaking about making sure we do with everything, and that's being intellectual with it. That's being smart about it. Oftentimes when we look at the remembrance of the tragedy, by its very nature, when you remember a tragedy, you're looking at something from an emotional viewpoint. You're looking at something that is quite emotional when you're leading with emotions in that moment. But the truth is, every act of worship should come from a place of intellect. Every act of worship should come from a place of understanding and knowledge, because if you don't know why you're doing it, then there's very little point in doing it at all. So even though we take into account the emotions of Azar, the emotions of the tragedy, we have to lead from a point of intelligence. And see, here's the thing, one of the miracles about the stories that we remember, the story of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam Ali or Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, one of the miracles is that there is intellect within it. How so? See, if we look at our connection with those tragedies, I don't know about you guys, but for me, year in, year out, I look forward to the month of Muharram. I look forward to the nights that we remember Imam Ali alayhi salam in Ramadan. I look forward to those majalis, I look forward to the matam, I look forward to the azadari. But here's the thing. It doesn't make sense for me to look forward to it. Why? Because I know the story. I've read it myself, I've heard it. Only God knows how many times at this point I've heard the story of Karbala, the story of Imam Ali's Shahada. I've heard them so many times, it doesn't make sense that I still look forward to them. Why? If you guys haven't realized over the series, I'm sure you'll realize by now, I'm a massive football fan, I'm a massive Arsenal fan, right? Arsenal, we have a good game. Let's say I went to the Emirates and I watched that game. We're playing right now, in fact. The game's probably about to finish against Brighton. Did we win? Yes. So, I'm a massive fan. Let's say I've gone to the Emirates for a game, or let's say I was at Brighton for the game, right? We were away today. Let's say I was there at the Amex. I'm watching the game, and this has genuinely happened with me, where I'm watching a game, and while I'm watching the game, I'm thinking, this is such a great game, I can't wait to go watch Match of the Day tonight. I'm in the stadium, I'm watching it live, and I can't wait to watch the replay later. So I'm watching the highlights, Match of the Day, and then when I'm scrolling through Twitter or TikTok, the highlights come up again, and I'm watching them again. And then, because I'm a little bit nuts like that. I might go and watch the full 90-minute replay again. But there's only so many times I'm going to watch the same thing. That Martinelli goal versus Chelsea. I've watched it hundreds of times. But there comes a point where you think, I'll just like it and I'll skip it, right? There's only so many times you can watch the same thing. Why? Because when you get that used to it, it doesn't matter how much you love that thing, if it's the same thing over and over again, it will get repetitive. So there's only so many times I'll watch that Arsenal game again and again. But here's the thing, when it comes to the stories of Karbala, when it comes to the Shahadat of Imam Ali, they don't change. What happened then, it doesn't change. That happened. I hear the same story every year, but still I look forward to it. Still I don't get tired of it. Still I'm yearning for it. Which tells me that they're more than just stories and tragedies that I'm meant to cry over. It tells me there's something more, because the only reason I would continue to look forward to it despite the repetition of hearing it again and again is because each time I'm taking something different from it. Whether I perceive it or not, I'm taking something from that every time I listen to it. And so every year, when I look forward to Muharram, when I look forward to the Ayyam Azar and Ramadan, what I'm really doing is I'm looking forward to growing in some way, shape or form. I'm looking forward to improving myself, bettering myself, learning something. And we have to realize that this is a blessing that we're able to come to these kind of platforms and have that fusion of emotion and intellect where I both learn and I cry. That fusion of emotion and intellect where I can see myself growing and at the same time I can soften my heart over the tragedy of Karbala. Is the mic still on, by the way? It is. So, this blessing, we have to recognize what it is. We have to recognize what it's for. And when we want to recognize what a blessing it is, it's important also to understand the level of blessing that comes with it. The first thing that shows us, that highlights to us the level of blessings that we get from these majalis, from these sittings and these gatherings in remembrance of these tragedies, is the very first mention of them. The very first mention of them that many of us are taught is when? Is when our Imam Hussein, our third Imam, Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, is born. When the Imam is born, the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he visits his daughter to see his newborn grandson. He takes Imam Hussein alayhi salam in his arms, and it's a very famous and very well-known story that in this moment, the Holy Prophet starts crying. So Bibi Fatima, she comes to him, she says, my child's been born, this is a happy occasion, why are you crying? And they weren't tears of joy, this was tears of sorrow and sadness. So the Holy Prophet tells Bibi Fatima, look, Jibreel, the angel of Allah, Ruhul Qudus, he has just come down from the heavens and he's informed me of the fate of this young child. He's told me what will come of this young child. He says what will happen, the tragedy of Karbala. The Holy Prophet and his daughter Bibi Fatima, they sit there, they cry, and then Bibi Fatima asks the question, so who will be there for my child? Rasulullah says, you won't be there. You will have left this world at that time. He says, I won't be there. I will have left this world at that time. So Imam Ali, no, Ali won't be there. He will have left this world at that time. What about his brother Hassan? His brother Hassan will not be there. So Bibi Fatima asks, then who will be there for my child? Holy Prophet says, in that moment your child will be alone. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created a nation who will come after him to cry for your child. You want to see the greatest fadila, the greatest virtue of this azar, of this tragedy. The greatest virtue is that Sayyidah Zahra, her heart felt peace when she knew that you would exist to cry. Sayyidah Zahra, the peace for her heart is knowing that you are here to experience sorrow and show that love over her son. That's one virtue. Another virtue that we see narrated comes from the angels themselves. It is said that when the angels hear, when the angels hear the remembrance of Abu Abdullah, of the tragedy of Karbala, of the ultimate sacrifice, they come down from heaven to the earth. The other place where we see the angels coming down, and it's mentioned in the Quran is where, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, تَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالرُّوحُ فِيهَا بِإِذْنِ رَبِّهِمْ مِنْ كُلِّ أَمْرٍ. When do they come down? When do they descend? On Laylatul Qadr. And we know of the blessings of Laylatul Qadr. Another time where we're told they descend is when they hear the remembrance of that ultimate sacrifice. So they descend upon wherever that remembrance is happening. Wherever that gathering is, the angels descend upon that. Now, one thing we have to take note of here is heaven is an incredible place. I've never been myself, but I'm told it is an incredible place. It's a beautiful place, full of blessings, full of ni'mat, full of grace and brilliance. What could possibly possess anyone or anything to want to leave that place and come down to earth? Earth, which we're told is a trial, full of tribulations, full of tests. It's difficult. You're not meant to be here. It's not comfortable. That's what earth is described as. And then you've got heaven described as, well, heaven. Why would anybody want to leave heaven and come to earth? Only and only because the blessings are available in that moment, in that space, they come for that. And only when they exceed what is being blessed, what the people are being blessed with in heaven. So the angels come down in that moment, and the narration goes on that when the angels return back to heaven, the Hurul Ain, the Hurs in heaven, they will go to the angel and they will say to them, where is it that you have been? Because from you we can smell a fragrance that we have never smelt before. Yani, this is a fragrance that you can't even get in heaven itself. And they will say, we went to Karbala. We went to the remembrance and the zikr of Aba Abdullah and that ultimate sacrifice for Allah. And then, according to some narrations, the angels will be asked by those Hurul Ain, so what did you bring back? What did you bring from there? And the angels will produce droplets from the river of Furat and sand and dust from the place where Abu Abdullah gave his final sacrifice in Karbala. See, if the blessings are so great that angels will leave heaven to get those blessings, recognize how blessed we are that we are able to come to those same places, that we are able to have that same remembrance in our heart. Recite aloud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The blessings are incredible. And the final virtue that I'll mention, and I don't know if this will resonate with you as much as it resonates with me, but to me, this feels like such a massive, massive thing. And I'm not going to Masa'ib or anything, but in that final farewell, where Imam Hussein alayhi salam comes to his son and he tells him, Sajjad, it's time for me to go to the battlefield. It's time for me to give my life. There's one very particular thing that Imam Hussein says. He gives one instruction to Sayyid al-Sajjad. What does he say? Balligh li-shi'atina as-salam. Give my Shi'as, or deliver the message of my salam to our Shi'as. Allahu Akbar. To me, that is such a massive thing. My Imam in that moment is remembering me. In that moment, he's sending his salams upon me. And when I come to this Farsh Azar, when I come to remember the tragedy of the Imam, when I cry over him, when I'm sad over him, what I'm doing is I'm responding to that salam. If I wasn't able to respond to his call of Hal min Nasir and Yansurana, is there anybody there to help me? At least I can respond to the salam he sent before he went out to give his life. And when I come and I remember the tragedy of my Imam, when I remember the sacrifice that he gave for Allah, that's me responding to that salam. This is the virtue of Azadari. This is the virtue of this remembrance. But here's the deal. With every virtue comes a certain level of responsibility as well. With every virtue and every blessing, there comes a certain level of accountability as well. Everything that we've been blessed with, Allah is going to ask us, how did you use that? How did you engage with it? How did you, if He's given you wealth, did you use your wealth in the right way? If He's given you intellect, did you use your intellect in the right way? If He's given you social skills, were you social with people in the right way, or did you become arrogant and did you become a snob? How are you going to use the blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you? If we accept that this is a blessing as well, then how are we using it? First of all, how are we carrying out this ibadah? And second of all, how are we using it? I'll dive right into the crux of the matter. When we call it an ibadah, when we call it a worship, there's a big question mark on that from those who do not understand it. Why do you do this? Where do you see this? Is it in the Quran? Is it in the ahadith? No. Particularly, certain forms of matam are not in the Quran. They're not in the ahadith. So why do we do them? Is it not then incorrect to do them in that way and call it an ibadah? It's not incorrect for one very clear reason. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us the instruction in the Holy Quran through the Holy Prophet. He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا إِلَّا مَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Say to the people, O Muhammad, O Prophet, say to the people, I don't want anything in return for what I have given you. إِلَّا مَوَدَّةَ فِي الْقُرْبَى. Except the love, the mawadda, the devotion to those who I hold dear, those who I love. And generally speaking, al-qurba refers to your family. So the Holy Prophet is being told by Allah. It's not him saying it of his own accord. He's being told by Allah, an extra stamp of authority in the Holy Quran. Tell the people, I don't want anything except the love and devotion for my family. But the Holy Prophet didn't tell us how to display that love and devotion. He doesn't say display your love and devotion in this way, in this way, in this way. No. He just says display your love and devotion now. That doesn't become an unlimited thing. That doesn't mean I can do anything and say that this is for the devotion of the family of the Holy Prophet. No. I have to remain within the realms of Islam, within the boundaries of my religion. And to do that, I can look to the ahadith and I can look to the Quran to find out what the boundaries of my religion are. And the clear boundary that we see is that martyrdom in particular is an act that is cultural. Your religion doesn't tell you to do martyrdom. No, it's a cultural act. And the proof of that is that if you go to Pakistan, it's done differently than if you go to Iraq, and it's done differently there. To Lebanon, it's done differently there. To parts of Africa, it's done differently there. To parts of Europe. If it was an Islamically prescribed and clearly Islamically prescribed act, explicitly prescribed as I'd say, then there would be a uniform way of doing it. But there isn't. It's a cultural act, but the reason it is allowed and the reason it's not outlawed is purely because the Imams were present at times where this took place and they did not stop it happening. We have a concept of what's called tacit approval. Tacit approval is when something's going on in front of you and you don't stop it. That is as good as saying, I'm happy with it to go on. If you're in a position of authority and you don't stop it, that's as good as you saying, I'm fine with that. So if the Imam is saying tacitly, silently, he's fine with it going on, that means it is within the realms of religion. So we accept for this reason. When I do martyrdom, what I'm doing is I'm carrying out my wajib act of tawalla, my wajib act of muwadda towards the family of the Holy Prophet, those who he loved, and this is the way I'm doing it. And the reason I consider it halal is because the Imams never stopped it. They gave what is called tacit approval, silent approval. So, now that we've cleared that question, we come on to how to actually carry out this ibadah. And I'm not going to tell you the method, rather I'm going to tell you the things that we have to take a note of. First and foremost, with any worship, any act that you do, the most important thing is what? Your niyyah, your intention. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose for my doing this? What is my intention behind it? And look, we've got this really dangerous kind of phenomenon now where a lot of people, they will sin openly and then their response will be, you don't know my intention, you don't know my niyyah. Well, but I can see it in your actions. It's not as hidden as you think. Oftentimes your actions, they will display exactly what your intentions are. Your niyyah is the most important thing. There are only ever two reasons when it comes to azar. One is through that tawalla that we have, that love that we have, that devotion that we have. And the second is to continue the same niyyah that my Imam had when he gave his life. The niyyah of my Imam was Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahiyan al Munkar. He says it himself when he leaves Medina, I am leaving to propagate good, to enjoin people towards good, and to keep them away from evil, from wrongdoing. The Imam's intention for that shahada is Amr bil Ma'ruf, Nahiyan al Munkar, encouraging good, discouraging bad. You can only ever have two intentions when it comes to azar. When it comes to remembrance of this tragedy, either you are doing it out of tawalla and muwadda, the love that we have to have for the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, or you are doing it for Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahiyan al Munkar. These are the only two reasons. Now when we look at tawalla, we have to dive a little bit deeper into that as well. Ya Allah, you've told me that I must have love for the family of the Holy Prophet, for those who are known as Dhil Qurba, those who are known as his family, his close ones. But why? What's the reason? What's the purpose? Why does Allah care if I love them or not? Because Allah has sent them down as examples for me. That's why He cares if I love them or not. He has sent them down as guides for me. So if I love them, if I have that devotion to them, then I'll follow their guide. I'll follow their pathway. I'll follow their example. And when I follow their example, that's when I can say I'm doing tawalla. That's when I can say I'm showing my love and devotion to them. Now, if your azar, if your remembrance of that tragedy does not entail in any way, shape or form you learning from them, then you have left your azar incomplete. Your intention is tawalla. The point behind tawalla is to learn from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. If you never learned from them, then your actions didn't follow through with your intentions. Your intention was one thing, your actions were another, which really and truly it means your intentions were never that first thing. So the first thing is from this azar, we have to make sure we're learning. Like we said, the reason we keep yearning for it, the reason we keep looking forward to it is because we keep growing, we keep learning, we keep developing. We have to make sure we keep developing. And at this point, I'll mention a pet peeve of mine. The number of times, oftentimes because I'm reciting place after place, I will arrive at a majlis at a time where it's already started. Because I've come from somewhere else and I see the crowd as I walk in, right? And you look and you'll notice how much of that crowd is sitting outside of the lecture. How much of that crowd is sitting outside of the majlis. But inside is where everything's going on. If you're going to come in right at the end just for matam, you've missed the whole crux of that remembrance. You've missed the whole crux of that azar. Your azadari is entirely incomplete if you do it without hoping to learn something. The point where you learn is the lecture, is the dars. If you're skipping that, it's like you did wudu and you didn't read your namaz. What was the point? Make sure you're learning and gaining from it. That's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. The second thing, tawalla means to follow the devotion, to be devoted to and follow the examples of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and the holy personalities. So do that. Your azar should not infringe upon the examples of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. If you're doing your azadari but you're rude to people when you come to the center, if you're doing your azadari but you are pushing people away, you're doing your azar, light things, you're doing your azar but you're littering on your way out, that's not the example that was set by our holy personalities. If you're doing that, you have missed the importance of the azar. You have missed the point of it entirely. If that's what you are doing, you are wasting your time. Because like I say, if your actions don't follow from your intentions, then your intention is something else entirely. And if your intention is not correct, then your action is worthless. And I don't say this of my own accord. Go back and look at the letter that we were looking at over the past few days, over the days of the Shahada of Imam Ali alayhi salam. What does he say again and again? He says, if you lose the reasoning for why you are doing something, if you lose sight of your destination, abandon your journey. Until you gain sight, until you understand again why you are doing it, what you are hoping to achieve, abandon your journey. These are the words of the Imam, not my words. So then, if your actions don't follow from the intention, that means your intention doesn't follow from the actions. And if your intention is wrong, then you're wasting your time. This is one section. You have to have the example of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam at the forefront when you do this azadari. Second thing, the second intention that you could have, we said, was amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar. To encourage good and discourage evil. Inshallah, tomorrow, the whole point of the lecture, the whole discussion tomorrow will be around how to do that in a positive manner. How to do amr bil ma'roof, how to encourage good, how to discourage evil. But here, when it comes to azar, I was saying, you want to encourage good and you want to discourage evil. Make sure that you yourself are a good example for that. Make sure that you yourself are showing what good and bad looks like. Well, not bad. Make sure you're showing what good looks like and make sure you're showing that you're away from bad. You have to make sure that you are a shining example in front of the people. Amr bil ma'roof and nahy anil munkar, they are also wajib upon us. To encourage good and discourage evil, they are wajib upon us. They are compulsory. When you come to the mosque, be an example. Show people what is right and show people what is wrong. And the other point I'll mention, make sure that whoever you're listening to as a speaker, as a reciter, whatever words are being uttered from the mimbar of Rasulullah, from these centers, from these pulpits, make sure that they are in line with the true teachings of Islam. Don't ever compromise. It doesn't matter how big a name somebody is. It doesn't matter how famous they are, how popular they are. It doesn't matter at all. If what they are saying is incorrect, don't listen to them. If what they are saying is incorrect, don't give them that platform. Don't compromise your values over the excitement of glitz and glamour and fame and a celebrity in front of you. No. Listen to what somebody is saying and pick it apart based on its merits. We spoke about this in one of the previous lectures. I won't go into it again. Pick it apart on its merits. Make sure that what they're saying is correct. Forget the fancy words. Forget the confident speaking, the brilliant oratory. Forget all of that. Is what they are saying correct and true and in line with your religion? If it's not, don't give them that platform again. If they are not willing to correct themselves, remove that platform from them. We have to recognize, what is the point of this azar? What is the point of this remembrance? It's meant to bring you closer to your Lord. One point I'll mention before I wrap up as well, because we're running out of time. This Farsh Azar, I didn't call you here. If you go to the month of Muharram, look at how many thousands of people descend upon their centers, upon their Imam Bargas, upon their mosques. Why? To remember about Abdullah. Who called them there? Was it the organization of the mosque? Did they call each and every one of you and say, come today? No, they didn't. Was it the speaker? Did I call any of you and ask you to come today? No, I didn't. Who was it that called you here? You yourself had a yearning to go and remember about Abdullah, to go and remember Amir al-Mu'mineen, to go and remember those personalities who you revere. You yourself had a yearning to go. We have the notion and the belief that we are called to these things, called by a higher power, called by Sayyidah Zahra salamullahi alayha. We are blessed by Allah and chosen by Allah to come to these things. So, if we accept that and we believe that, then that means every person sitting around you has been called by them. Every person sitting around you has come here for Aba Abdullah. So this place, your mosques, your centers, these Farsh Azar, the places where you come to remember the name of Hussein, they should be a place of unity. If ever you see something causing fractions between the community, make sure that doesn't ever enter this center. Make sure that doesn't ever enter the Farsh Azar. Why? This is a place of unity. It's not my place. It's not my home. It's not my place to run. No. This is a place for people to come and learn. It is a madrasa, it is a school, it is a place to educate yourselves, to learn from, to come together and unite. And at the same time, I will say the blessings of it come from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, but through the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And if that is the case, you have to make sure that you're worthy of those blessings, because, and we all know very famously the verse of the Holy Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Oh, it's completely slipped my mind now. That worked. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Innama yuridu Allahu liyudhhiba ankum ar-rijsa ahla al-bayt wa yutahhirakum tathira. Allah keeps rijs, impurity, far, far away, further away than any of us can imagine from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So if you come to these majalis, if you come to these centers and you do not have purity in your heart and your mind, the Ahlul Bayt will stay far from you despite you coming here as well. So make sure that you have that purity in your heart, your mind, your intention, your action. And when all of that comes together, then you can say, I'm taking from these majalis what I should be. Recite aloud, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I promise you tomorrow I'm going to end on time. We raise our hands in dua and we pray to Allah Azza wa Jal. Oh Allah, for all those around the world suffering from ill health, grant them complete shifa. Oh Allah, for all those of our loved ones who have left this world, raise their ranks in Jannah. Oh Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to enter Jannah under his banner. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء.
use your sim. Don't take it. Already time? إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله اللهم صل أشهد أن مولانا أمير المؤمنين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن مولانا أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه حي على الصلاح حي على الصلاح حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما الله